Dolly Parton spent her life turning memories, heartbreak, faith, family, and ordinary moments into unforgettable music. Her songs could make people dance, cry, laugh, remember someone they loved, or think about the meaning of life. But among all the songs connected to her remarkable career, one carried a deeply personal meaning that went far beyond fame. It was a song she wanted to hear when her own life came to an end. The news of Dolly Parton's death at the age of 80 has brought renewed attention to the remarkable life she lived and to the wishes she had quietly shared years earlier. Parton died on August 25, 2026, in Nashville after a brief battle with cancer, according to statements from her representatives. Her death marked the end of a six-decade career that made her one of the most recognizable and beloved figures in music. For many people, the obvious choice for a farewell song might have been I Will Always Love You. After all, Dolly Parton wrote the song, performed it herself, and watched it become an international phenomenon after Whitney Houston recorded her unforgettable version for The Bodyguard *. The song became so closely associated with love, loss, goodbye, and remembrance that it seemed almost inevitable that it would someday be played at Parton's funeral. But Dolly had another song in mind. The song was If We Never Meet Again. For Parton, this was not simply another piece of music. It was connected to her childhood, her father, her family, her faith, and the belief that saying goodbye does not necessarily mean saying goodbye forever. She had revealed years earlier that this was the song she wanted to hear at her own funeral because of the special place it held in her family history. Entertainment Weekly reported that Parton had discussed the choice in a 2014 interview. The story becomes even more emotional when looking back at the moment Parton heard I Will Always Love You, being played at Whitney Houston's funeral. Dolly had written the song decades before Whitney transformed it into one of the biggest pop hits in history. Parton originally wrote I Will Always Love You as a farewell to country music star Porter Wagoner with whom she had shared a hugely successful professional partnership. The song was her way of expressing love and gratitude while also accepting that their creative paths needed to separate. Parton's original version became a major country hit. She recorded the song again years later, but its most famous transformation came when Whitney Houston recorded it for the 1992 movie The Bodyguard *. Houston's powerful vocal performance introduced the song to an entirely new generation and turned it into a global phenomenon. The song became associated with weddings, funerals, romantic goodbyes, anniversaries, and moments of profound loss. It was no longer simply a country song written by Dolly Parton. It had become a universal expression of love. That was why hearing it at Whitney Houston's funeral affected Dolly so deeply. When Whitney's coffin was being carried away and the familiar melody began playing, Parton suddenly experienced her own song in an entirely different way. She had written it as a goodbye, but now she was hearing it as the soundtrack to an actual final farewell. Parton later explained that the moment made Whitney's death feel real to her. She had known that Whitney was gone, of course, but hearing her own composition played during the funeral created an emotional connection that words could hardly describe. The song she had written decades earlier was suddenly accompanying one of the most painful moments of another artist's life. Dolly had always understood the power of the song, but that moment showed her something else. She realized that I Will Always Love You could easily become the song people associated with her own passing. Yet Dolly did not choose it. Instead, she remembered her father. Robert Lee Parton known to his family as Lee played an important role in Dolly's life and remained one of the people she deeply admired. Growing up in the Tennessee mountains, Dolly was surrounded by music, family, and faith. Her childhood was not one of wealth or luxury. The Parton family lived modestly, but music was everywhere. Her father loved music, and certain songs became part of the family's emotional history. If We Never Meet Again was one of those songs. The hymn, written in the 1940s, had been recorded by numerous artists over the decades. Its message centers on the hope that even if people do not meet again in this earthly life, they may meet again in heaven. That idea resonated deeply with Dolly because of the relationship she had with her father and the spiritual beliefs that shaped her upbringing. When her father died, the family used the song at his funeral. For Dolly, that transformed the song into something permanent. It became more than a hymn, it became a bridge between generations. Years later, when Dolly discussed what she wanted for her own funeral, she remembered that moment. She explained that her father loved the song and that it had been performed at his funeral. She then expressed her wish that it should also be sung at hers. That choice says a great deal about Dolly Parton. She could have chosen one of the songs that made her famous. She could have selected Jolene, one of the most recognizable songs in country music. She could have chosen 9 to 5, the energetic anthem that became synonymous with working women and her movie career. She could have chosen Coat of Many Colors, the deeply personal song inspired by her childhood. She could even have chosen I Will Always Love You. Instead, she selected a song connected to her father. That makes the decision especially meaningful. Dolly Parton's career was built on stories. She wrote about relationships, poverty, family, jealousy, ambition, heartbreak, faith, work, and hope. But behind the larger-than-life celebrity was a woman who remained deeply connected to the people and experiences that shaped her before fame arrived. Her father was one of those people. Dolly often spoke with affection about her family and the lessons she learned growing up in Tennessee. Her childhood experiences eventually became some of the most important sources of inspiration for her songwriting. The famous coat of many colors was inspired by her mother making her a coat from pieces of fabric. The story was simple, but Dolly turned it into a powerful reflection on poverty, family love, and pride. That ability to transform ordinary memories into universal emotions became one of her greatest strengths as a songwriter. The same emotional connection can be seen in her choice of If We Never Meet Again. It was not about fame. It was about family. It was about faith. And most importantly, it was about remembering someone she loved. There is also something striking about the contrast between the two songs. I Will Always Love You became famous as a song about saying goodbye while still carrying love for someone. Its message is intimate and emotional. But If We Never Meet Again carries a different kind of farewell. It looks beyond separation and toward reunion. That distinction mattered to Dolly. Her choice suggested that she did not want her final musical moment to be defined only by sadness. She wanted it to carry hope. That was a recurring theme throughout her life. Even when Dolly sang about heartbreak, she often found a way to make the emotion feel hopeful. Even when she talked about poverty, she emphasized dignity and gratitude. Even when she faced setbacks, she continued moving forward. Her personality was often filled with humor and optimism, but beneath the glamorous appearance was a woman who understood hardship. She was born into a large family in Sevier County, Tennessee and grew up in circumstances that were dramatically different from the world she eventually entered. Her early life in the Smoky Mountains gave her a deep appreciation for family and community. She eventually moved to Nashville, where she began building her career as a songwriter and performer. Her partnership with Porter Wagoner helped bring her national attention, but Dolly eventually stepped out on her own and became a superstar in her own right. That decision produced one of the most important songs of her career, I Will Always Love You. Ironically, the song she wrote as a professional goodbye eventually became a song about permanent goodbyes for millions of listeners. When Whitney Houston recorded it, the song reached an audience Dolly could never have imagined when she first wrote it. Houston's version became one of the defining recordings of the 1990s, and it introduced Dolly's songwriting to people who may never have listened to traditional country music. Dolly always expressed admiration for Whitney's performance. She also understood that Whitney had given the song a completely new identity. That is why hearing it at Whitney's funeral was so powerful. The song Dolly had written had now become part of Whitney's final farewell. And in that moment, Dolly reportedly thought about her own mortality. It was a reminder that every performer eventually leaves the stage. For someone who spent decades performing for audiences around the world, the idea of the final curtain must have carried a special symbolism. But Dolly did not appear to approach death with the same fear that many people might feel. Her faith had been an important part of her life since childhood. The spiritual message of If We Never Meet Again reflected that belief. The song's central idea is simple: if people do not meet again on earth, there is still hope for another meeting in heaven. That message was particularly powerful for someone who had lost family members and friends throughout her long life. By choosing her father's favorite song, Dolly was essentially creating a musical connection between her own final farewell and the funeral of the man who helped shape her life. Her funeral song would not simply tell the world who Dolly Parton was. It would remind her family who she had been before she became Dolly Parton, the global superstar. Before the wigs, rhinestones, movies, awards, businesses, theme parks, television appearances, and sold-out concerts, she was a daughter growing up in Tennessee. She was a child listening to her father sing. And eventually, she became the woman who wrote songs for millions of people but still carried those childhood memories with her. That is perhaps the most touching part of the story. Dolly Parton had hundreds of songs available to her. She had an enormous catalog filled with songs that could have served as the soundtrack to her life. Yet when she thought about the final song, she went back to her family. She went back to her father. She went back to faith. And she went back to a song that had already been present at a deeply emotional family goodbye. Dolly's death on August 25, 2026, at the age of 80 has now given that old interview a new significance. Her representatives confirmed that she died in Nashville after a brief battle with cancer, surrounded by loved ones. Her passing has prompted tributes from fans, musicians, actors, political leaders, and generations of artists influenced by her work. Her legacy extends far beyond music. Through the *** Dolly Parton's Imagination Library ***, she helped provide books to children, while **Dollywood became one of the most recognizable attractions associated with her name. Her philanthropy, songwriting, acting career, and business accomplishments all became part of the story of her extraordinary life. But perhaps the most revealing details about a person are sometimes the quiet ones. Not the awards, not the records, not the millions of dollars, not the famous photographs. Sometimes it is the song they want played when everyone they love gathers to say goodbye. For Dolly Parton, that song was not necessarily the biggest hit of her career. It was a song her father loved. A song that had already been played when her family gathered to mourn him. A song that carried the promise of another meeting beyond this life. That choice gives If We Never Meet Again a completely different emotional weight today. The words are about separation, but they are also about hope. And perhaps that is exactly what Dolly wanted. She spent her life giving people reasons to smile. She created music that crossed generations and boundaries. She made audiences laugh, cry, dance, and remember. She built businesses that created jobs and institutions that helped children. She turned her own experiences into stories that made strangers feel understood. Now, after her death, her music is once again being heard through the lens of farewell. Fans may continue to play I Will Always Love You. They may sing ***, Jolene. They may remember 9 to 5. They may listen to Coat of Many Colors and think about the little girl who grew up with very little but dreamed of becoming a star. But for those who remember Dolly's own wishes, another song now carries a particularly intimate meaning. If We Never Meet Again. It is the song she associated with her father. It is the song that was sung at his funeral. And it is the song she once said she wanted sung at hers. In the end, that choice feels perfectly consistent with Dolly Parton's life. She became a global icon, but she never completely left behind the little girl from Tennessee. She became one of the most successful songwriters in history, yet she still treasured the songs her father loved. She could have chosen the song that made *** Whitney Houston ** a global superstar, but instead she chose a hymn that belonged to her family. And perhaps that is the final message hidden inside her choice. A person's greatest legacy is not always the thing the world remembers first. Sometimes it is the memory shared by a daughter and her father. Sometimes it is a melody heard in a family home long before the world knows your name. Sometimes it is a song that reminds us that goodbye does not have to mean the end. Dolly Parton spent more than 6 decades on stages around the world, but her final musical wish was deeply personal. She did not choose the loudest song. She did not choose the biggest hit. She chose the song that reminded her of home. And now, as the world remembers Dolly Parton ***, that choice makes her farewell feel less like the ending of a legendary career and more like one final message from a daughter who never forgot where she came from. If we never meet again on this side of heaven, the song says, there is hope for another meeting somewhere beyond this life. For Dolly, that message was not just a lyric. It was a memory. It was family. It was faith. And it was the song she wanted to carry with her when the music finally stopped.